What's up, everybody? TCG Mike here, back for another deck profile, and today we are doing dinos along with my buddy Robert here at the boardwalk. Robert, welcome back to the show, man.
Great to be here always. Before we begin, I need to give a shout out to the guy who actually helped me make the deck. It was originally made by our buddy Toby. He's been here on the channel before. He did the Planner Patrol profile, so if you hadn't seen it already, go check that out. And he put this together originally. It was one of my favorite decks to have as one of my signatures, and we're going to see what we got today. So first, we're running 3 copies of Soul Eating Oviraptor. Your favorite starter of the deck. Oviraptor will let you pick one dino in your deck. You can either put it in the grave or your hand. It's good for basically any combo you do. It depends on the situation, it will change. But most of the time, you're going to be getting your 1 copy of Miscellaneousaurus. This card getting put to 1 hurt us very bad, but it's still very good. If you ditch him in the main phase, provided they don't call by him, your dinos are untouchable for the rest of the main phase. And he can summon a dino depending on how many you banish from the grave. We're running 1 copy of Giant Rex. Giant Rex is a kind of a extender of himself. You banish him for cost or, summoning conditions on like Tyranno, and he'll come right back, and you could use him for your extra deck plays, which we'll get into momentarily. Okay. Next, we're running 1 copy of Dogoran the Mad Flame Kaiju. Self-explanatory here. Just bring him because he is the big Kaiju boy. Next, we're bringing in 1 copy of Pancratops. When I first saw this card, I crapped the house. He just came out for absolutely free and popped one of my cards and cost me the match.
Oh yeah, Pancratops is so good.
So, between his pop ability and how easy it is to summon him, you have to have him around here. It's a necessity. One of the more recent additions is Overtex Qualtris. You summon this off either with his effect or the evolution pill, and you can actually do the typical dino pop a card thing, pop one of your dinos things to pop a spell or trap. Where's the pop or negate? Yeah, you can, this is actually spell and trap negation. So you can destroy one of your dinos, including himself in a pinch, to negate a spell or trap. So it was very good to have him.
Alright. Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah. He's actually an older one. I saw him at the Element and had to add him. We're running 2 copies of Ultimate Condenser Tyranno, the boss monster of the main deck. You have to have him in every profile. He does everything. He'll pop a monster you control or in your hand to flip all theirs face down. He hits every monster on the field once each, and if they're in defense mode, he can send them to the grave without calculation, without destruction, and burn for 1,000. So you'll love to see it.
Oh yeah, that's the big boy.
And now, here comes the reason, and I'm sorry to stitch your cancel. Here comes the reason why I have a very inappropriate name for the deck, are babies. Babycerosaurus. These are going to die religiously for the effects of your Overtex, your Tyranno, and every time they die to card effect, they give you another dino. We are also running 2 copies of Animadoran Archaeosaur. He lets you pop 2 cards, pops a card, typically going to be one of your other dinos, and you can either summon a variety of monsters, a sea serpent, or what have you, but what you're going to be doing in this deck is getting your evolution pills. And for the final of our babies, we're running 1 Petite Pteranodon.
Alright.
Petite Pteranodon is basically Baby Sarah, but where Baby Sarah summons level 4 or lower, Pteranodon summons 5, 4 or higher. So Sarah summons these. Pteranodon summons these, minus symbols. And the other thing is, they can't attack when he's summoned.
Okay. You can summon like Pancratops and then use Pancratops' effect to pop card.
Absolutely. It's typically the thing to do. Next, we're actually running Scrap Dinos in here. I forgot to mention earlier. So we're going into the Scrap engine next. And with that, 3 Scrap Raptors and a Scrap Chimera.
Oh yeah.
Now, the Raptors are the only tuner in the deck, and that's going to be relevant later. When they're summoned, you pop any monster on your field, and you get to get another normal summon. And also, if you so happen to pop a Scrap Raptor himself, if he himself gets taken out by a Scrap effect, you get to search a non-tuner Scrap, your Chimera. So you'll get another normal summon, you'll get your Chimera, then you'll summon the Chimera, who will then revive one Scrap from the graveyard. And that lets you go into your combo plays, which I'll explain more when we're in the
I can go
extra
into a Scrap Dragon right there.
Yeah.
That's level 8.
Yeah, Scrap Dragon. But next we're going into hand traps. Or taking a dive into the hand traps, rather. 2 copies of Infect Veiler, self-explanatory. On their main phase, you ruin their day.
Oh yeah.
Now, next we're doing 3 copies of Psy-Frame Gamma and 1 copy of
Psy-Frame
Psy-Frame
Gamma.
Driver. Now, Gamma is, I think, the best in this deck because it's most relevant. You're going to rerun any monster effect, will trigger it in the hand or on the field. So, typically, if you have your Lost World, you play all your back row plays first to try and bait them out, and when they do that, they can Gamma. And Gamma can also be used on their turn, so keep that in mind. You just have to have no monsters on your field to do it. And our last monster is Nemesis Keystone. It's very good in the deck. Keystone actually lets you go into a very specific but niche play in combination with the Raptor. And what it does is basically you'll target one of your... You can spell summon it from the hand by targeting one of your banished monsters, put it back in the deck, and you're supposed to summon the Keystone. And if Keystone's banished, he can add himself to your hand. Now, that's our monster lineup. That's our monster lineup right there. Going next into our spells. Our first spell set is 3 copies of Lost World. Lost World is a good card to have. It kind of gives you control manipulation because when you summon a dino, you get to summon a token to their field, and they can't target anything but the token. And it also, as a nice little bonus, drops them their attack and defense by 500 unless they're using dinos. Mirror matches get awkward. Next, something else I should go into is that the Lost World, when the tokens go to die, you can save their token by destroying one of your dinos from deck. This is one of the main ways you pop Baby Sarah and extend your combos.
Exactly. It's really good.
Next is 3 copies of Fossil Dig. Not much to say, it's just a level 6 or lower dino to your hand.
That's the Rhoda of the deck.
Yes. Next is 2 copies of Double Evolution Pill. Double Evolution Pill is the way you summon out your Tyranno most of the time. You banish a dino and non-dino. Typically, after you've done all your scrap plays, you'll banish the Chimera. And if you can, you'll also banish Giant Rex, and you'll go into Tyranno. We only run 2, really only Nisu, because with Adamadorn you can search this guy. We're running 1 copy of Forbidden Chalice, my bad. You know, point in the gate. You'd rather not give them attack points, but when you're using dinos, typically a 400 extra attack point difference is not going to save them, and if it does, they were going to get you anyway.
Oh yeah, just stop one of those trouble effects on the field from a monster or something.
And another thing we run in the main deck for trouble cards is Harpy's Feather Duster, because we don't want to see those stray Mirror Forces or other battle traps.
Or
and, you know, yeah, and heaven forbid, Zombie World.
Yep.
Yeah, Zombie World kind of just screws everything, because Zombie World negates Lost World. Yeah, pseudo negates, because 1, your dinos are now zombies, and only a dinosaur being normal or special summon is going to trigger the token. So if Zombie World pops out, this is useless.
Yep. Plus it gets rid of double X conclusion. Frank.
Called by the Grave. Self-explanatory. Hand traps can go suck one. A card I'm debating taking out is Triple Tactics Talent. It's one of any 3 banned cards at any given time, but it's only when they interrupt your plays. So, on one hand, if they interrupt your plays, you get a card. On the other hand, you go off as normal. And our final spell is the obligatory Terraformer. Terraform is obviously your field spell. Next, we're running only 2 traps, and that's Infinite Impermanence. Now, one of the changes we had originally in the deck was Imperial Order in order to stop the spell cards, because despite the number of spells we had, they weren't necessary other than interruption and kind of setup, and after the first few rounds, you're not really too worried about Lost World. And especially when you're going against Sky Strikers.
Yes.
Losing Lost World for them to lose all of their cards is a fair price to play. They and Infinite Impermanence is still a very good substitute for that. Yep. Because well-played Impermanence can stop an entire deck.
Yep.
Now we're going into the Esther deck. I don't use most of these all the time, so bear with me as I'm going to be a bit slow. First is 1 copy of number 60, Degris the Timeless. This card is a rank 4, and it's got a variety of effects. The first one being, for each of these, you detach 2, and you activate one of the following effects. The first one is to skip your next draw phase, to draw 2 cards and discard 1. You skip your next main phase, also special summon 1 monster from your grave in defense, and you can skip your next battle phase and also double the attack of 1 monster you control this turn. So the play is to have Tyranno in the field, summon him, use his effect to sacrifice your next battle phase, double Tyranno's attack points, and that basically guarantees game if they're in attack mode.
Okay.
Because if they have attack mode monsters with enough attack mode monsters, Tyranno with 7,000 attack points, he'll run over all of them.
Gotcha.
Next, we're running Abyss Dweller. Now, Abyss Dweller we can here for his quick effect, which is to prevent graveyard activation. So a few decks kind of die to that. Phantom Knights just kind of weather away if they can't use the graveyard. Triple D's kind of take a hit. I think Blunders kind of take a hit.
A lot of stuff deal with graveyard effects, so
yeah.
it's good against those type decks.
Next, we're running 1 copy of Tornado Dragon. Classic removal, and it's a quick effect. Next, we're running for some monster effect negation, we're running Yugioh Dolka. And we're also running Yugioh Lagia, basically is Dolka but for spelling traps.
Okay.
Now, I mentioned earlier why we're running the Keystone. This is the reason why here, Natria Beast.
Ooh, Natria Beast.
Natria Beast is a level 5 Earth synchro that requires a Earth tuner and Earth non-tuner monster. So basically the only way you're going to be able to summon it in Dinos is with Keystone and Raptor. And if you do, it's just every time your opponent activates a spell, discard 2. So imagine having him on the field against a Sky Striker player who's 95% spells in their deck. They're going to activate 10 spells, you're going to discard 20 cards, and you're going to have plenty of material for your dinos go off. And it also hearts a lot of other decks besides Sky Striker. Next, we're running Cyphering Lord Omega. We use this card basically in any deck that deals with good bit and banishment. Most people know what it does. Next, we're going into 1 copy of Borreload Savage Dragon. Savage is one of the go-to combos of the deck. So the standard thing that I like to do is get him, Tyranno, and a Link that I'm going to go into in a few minutes on the board, and that's kind of max combo with the other thing having Lost World out, and at one point Imperial Order. So with Savage, you know the drill, summon him, equip a Link, and that Link's rating becomes his number of Omni gates. Next, we're running one copy of Link Amiibo. Easy enough to summon with the betas.
Yep.
So in a pinch, you can have a anti-battle to, when they attack, make their attack 0. You know, it can really save you. And now we're running one copy of Reproductus. This is another way that you can try and get out Nutria beasts if you have enough materials to do so. This is kind of the main way to do it. I mentioned earlier the only way is with Keystone and Raptor. This kind of helps you circumvent that, so you can turn one of your Animadorned into a Earth.
Okay.
And you can make him and Raptor into Beast. The downside to that being it has to be a monster he points to becomes the attribute you declare. So you have to be very careful when you summon him and where you put your monsters. Next is Secure Gardener for the protection he provides.
Yep.
Also very easy to summon off of Link Amiibo. And Link Amiibo himself is easy to get back. Next we have Cyframe Lord Lambda. Lambda is a good if you're running low on resources and you have Gamma in your hand, you can go into Lambda, or if you have spare resources that you want to get off the board, you can go into Lambda, because Lambda will actually let you use your Cyframe's effects from your hand. With there's monsters on the board.
Okay.
So rather than waiting until they clear your field and then for them to use monster effects again, the moment they use a monster effect, you can just use Gamma and bring out Driver with it.
Right.
Next is Wyvern, the crown jewel of the Scrap combo. So after you summon Raptor off Chimera, you're going to go into this, probably summon a few more things first, and Wyvern will let you maneuver them around. First, you get to summon a Scrap from the grave, then you pop a card. If it was a Scrap monster that gets popped while he's on the field, you get a Scrap from your deck, and then you can pop one card on the field. So this gives you a lot of utility on what you can pop to try and extend your combos. And finally, we're playing one copy of Apollousa, Bow of the Goddess. Love to see it. Love to see it. Apollousa is the main thing I like to use in this deck, because on top, between Tyranno flipping them face down, Omni Negate from Borload, and Apollousa having monster negates, it's very difficult for you to get around it, and you'll be able to kind of lock them into defense if they have anything to do at all, and you can just wither them away pretty quickly. And that's it. My side deck I'm kind of changing up right now, so I don't want to show that to anybody right now. So that's the end of the profile for today.
All right, Robert. Thank you very much for the Dino Scrap deck?
Yeah, Scrap Dinos.
Scrap Dinos?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Appreciate it. Thank you for the Scrap Dino Deck Profile.
Absolutely.
And if any updates on it or anything, you're always welcome back to the show.
Okay.
TCG Mike out.